The housing market, renting, owning a home, renting a home, buying a home, all that stuff is going to be drastically affected. And where do we go? How do we do this? A lot of people are talking about the suspension of rents and things like that. But suspension of rent doesn't mean it goes away. It means it's suspended. At some point, the piper's going to come due, and you have to pay the Pied Piper. So what do you do? If you're struggling and you've lost your job and your rent is suspended for 1 month, 2 months, 60 days, 90 days, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. At some point, when this blows over and rent comes due again, you're going to have to pay your rent plus some of the suspended stuff, and it's going to make rent much higher for a lot of people. A lot of people aren't going to be able to do it. Most Americans are paying about 30% of their income on rent. Those who are renting anyways. Let's read this. Coronavirus economy could burst America's big city rent bubble. Could burst? No, it's done. It's bursted and it's leaking all over the floor. The gridlock coronavirus economy could upend housing from coast to coast, bursting national apartment rents that have risen by 150% over the last decade, experts say. Yeah, I hate it how every time when you go to redo your lease, obviously the rent goes up. Without fail. It goes up, it goes up, it goes up. Well, one good thing about this coronavirus, I don't think the rents will start going up again. I think they'll start coming down because people won't be able to pay it. If people can't pay it, the landlord's got to get some sort of income. They'll have to drop their rents. We'll see what happens. It might be interesting. Yet the situation will likely do little to alleviate the housing crisis because the more than 16 million Americans who filed for unemployment insurance in the last 3 weeks will still need roofs over their heads, say economists and affordable housing advocates. Yeah, and they will. And they will. More than half of the 600 concerned landlords on a conference call Wednesday with the Apartment Association of Greater Los Angeles said they have tenants who haven't fully paid their April rent, according to Executive Director Daniel Eukelson. And what do you want them to do? They're not working. They're locked down. They're in the sectors that are hit hardest, service sectors and things like that. They're not working. They don't have income. How can they pay the rent? And then you suspend the rent. And then what? When they start working again, they owe that month plus what? A certain percentage of the suspended months until it's all paid back? Wow, it's going to make rent very, 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 very expensive for people. And incomes aren't going to go up. Not after this. It's going to be a long time until we see things start to level off. It does show you the impacts the crisis is having on both owners and renters, he said by email. And it's going to cause all kinds of stuff. Are renters going to be altruistic and be like, hey, we understand that this was a crisis, that you didn't have any control over it, so you know what? We're gonna forgive that rent. No, I highly, 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 highly doubt that. They want the money from somewhere. Overheated rents are blamed in part for the rise in homeless and deaths of despair, as well as the need for 13 million Americans to take more than one job. More than a third of U.S. homes are rented. The median price for a two-bedroom apartment in San Francisco is $3,102. New York, $2,565. And in Boston, $2,125. Now, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? You take a portion of that and you up your rent from the next months in order to make up for the months that were suspended? I don't know. Renters need to be able to afford rent. Let's see. Yeah, renters need to be able to afford rent. Landlords need to be able to get paid. I mean, they need to be able to eat too. They're human beings too. They're not evil in the most part. I have known a few evil landlords in my life, don't get me wrong, but for the most part, they are just people trying to make a living. So they deserve to get paid as well. What do you do? I mean, God, someone can't pay, someone needs to get paid, they're not working, but we can't have mass homelessness. That would be horrible. What do we do? God, this is going to be crazy. When this is all over, are we going to see news after news after news of, what, thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of Americans being evicted all at once? Is that what we have to look forward to? God, I sure hope not. Rents will fall. Let's hope so. Rents will fall, said David Schulman, a senior economist with the Anderson forecast at UCLA. But income is going to drop. Yeah. So it has been pretty steady in my area anyways. The area that I live in is called the Heights. Evidently, I guess it's a very sought after area. So rent definitely goes up, and it goes up every single time you renew the lease without fail. Without fail, a certain percentage a month. The months ahead could bring a construction slowdown. Could? They are. There's no could about it. They are going to bring a construction slowdown caused by a skittish luxury market, while landlords could face their own cash crunches as renters default, said Whitney Airgood O'Brien, a research associate at Harvard University's Joint Center for Housing Studies. Yeah, construction will fall. Absolutely it'll fall. Not building any new sky rises or anything like that for a while. It's also likely that many renters will move in with family and friends and that homelessness will continue to rise, she said. Yes, it's extremely likely that homelessness will rise. With this pandemic, what is likely to happen is people will lose a significant portion of income, so we're likely to see more doubling up for housing, she said. We're also going to see rent discounting and a lot of rent concessions. And I can see it now. They are going to start cracking down on the, I forget what the law is called, where you're renting for yourself in an apartment and then you have like your family member has an emergency and they stay with you for longer than the 2-week period of time they're allowed to visit or whatever. It's not subleasing. I forget what the law is. But we're going to see those either enacted or released, relieved, lifted. One or the other. I don't know, man. I feel like I'm watching America turn into a third world country right before my eyes sometimes. But that's what I got for you on this one, guys. And take care of yourselves. I sure hope you guys are doing good. I love you guys, and I will see you on the next one.